All right, again, we want to call the Caldwell County Board of Commissioner meeting to order for May 13th, 2024. I'd like to welcome everyone who's in attendance in our audience here this evening, as well as those who are now joining us by TV, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and a host of various other ways, I think. But we appreciate everybody being attentive and a part of our meeting. And our first order of business, Pastor Jerry Steins with Solid Rock Baptist Church is here. Will lead us in our invocation, and we'll follow that with our Pledge of Allegiance, and Commissioner Donnie Potter will lead us in that. So, where's the pastor? He didn't come. We thought he was here. There's such a large crowd, I thought we lost him in the crowd. All right, well, with that, I'll ask Commissioner Mike LaBrose to lead us in our invocation this evening.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for this day, your blessings that you bestowed on each and every one of us. We're thankful for our country, our state, and our county that we live in. We're thankful for our citizens. We're thankful for our law enforcement, our EMS, our fire, those folks, men and women that protect us. Father, bless us tonight as we partake in the county's business. For we ask these things in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. Salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everyone. Are there any amendments to our agenda this evening?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we have an additional proclamation for next week for EMS week, so we'd like to add that as item 2B.
All right. Item 2B.
And Mr. Jonathan Cook, EMS Services, will come up and present that.
All right. Anything else? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting our agenda this evening?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's agenda as the county manager has presented.
Any other comment or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And our first item on our agenda this evening is a presentation of Mr. Keith Hyman with the Communities in Schools. So welcome, Mr. Hyman.
All right, Chairman Church, Vice Chair Mr. LaBrose, Mr. Jeff Branch, Mr. Donnie Potter, Mr. Robbie Wilkie, thank you for your time this evening. So, I'd like to talk to y'all about communities in schools. We basically have 7 different sites that we work in throughout the schools, so the 4 major middle schools and the 3 traditional high school settings. We do not provide services at the early college or CASA because those support structures are in place for those high schools. As you can see, okay, there we go. Technology at its finest. It's called Enter. All right. So 497 students is typically what we serve. 4,805 students receiving whole school services. We'll go over that a little bit today too. And our graduation rate last year was at 91%. Very proud of that, okay? Something I would like to talk very, very quickly about is that we serve 2 types of students. We serve a seated student, which is a student that actually takes a CIS class. And then we serve a student that's called an unseated student, in which they do not take a formal class, yet our site coordinator still monitors those 3 target areas, which is their attendance, their academics, and also their behavior. And kind of like a surrogate parent on site for the child to advocate for the child in various times whenever a need might arise. As you can see, 93% of our students stayed in school. 82% of them improved or maintained their coursework. 91% improved or maintained behavior. And this is a huge one right here that I feel like I want to draw out. Last year, 78% of those almost 500 students improved or maintained their attendance. And I don't know if y'all have heard about what attendance rates are like in the school system now. It's not like you have a truant officer and you miss 10 days. You know, on average, that number gets really high. So in some cases, like 40 days a year is not out of the unordinary is what I'm getting at. But we increased that from the 48% the year before, so a 30% increase there. It's all about opportunities, what we give our students. So a lot of times our students aren't the ones maybe bringing in the change or bringing in the cereal or something for a big drive, but they're the ones that are organizing it and putting everything together. And as you can see at William Lenore Middle School, we did a project there that was whole school where they collected 408 boxes of cereal, roughly 460 pounds worth, and that was donated, of course, to the Yoke Fella. And we work hand in hand with Sharon there at the Yoke Fella. Our big thing that we try to do is support our local nonprofits that's also supporting the community as well. And then you can see how they did it. They had everything lined up and then collected everything. That project in itself was also related to hunger and homelessness unit that we went over with that particular grade level, our 8th graders. And that was a culminating activity that they chose to do there at William Lenore Middle School. Our 6th graders in their curriculum, they focus part of their year on the elderly because so many of our students live with older adults in their lives, sometimes grandparents, maybe an aunt or an uncle. And we actually have pen pals at the various retirement centers and health facilities that we can see here. And this was there at Hickory Falls, there in Granite Falls Middle School when we went to visit them at Easter. Another one that we really try to connect with quite a bit, April's is actually awesome there at the senior center. And she actually takes her kids out into the classroom so the kids can see some different types of things, whether it's glaucoma, cataracts, what it feels like to have arthritis. And basically the students go through a scenario of what a day would be like for somebody that's elderly so they can building that compassion in them. And then this one actually had a video in it, but I know that West Caldwell High School partnered with the shelter home of Caldwell County Schools. I don't have any way that I know of to actually get that video to come up, but that's all right. That was on teen violence and dating violence, and they did a whole school. So when we talk about those close to 5,000 students being enriched, each one of our schools every 9 weeks does a major school-wide project. And Melissa Reynolds, I'd like to brag on her just a little bit. She is actually our site coordinator there at West Caldwell High School. She was also the instructional assistant of the year for Caldwell County Schools this year. So just a very valuable member of that school. Serves not only our students, but every student and also her peers. And then you can kind of see some of the things that they do to involve the students. And then we have our 7th graders who spent some time with Richard Gillian and his staff talking about pet responsibility. And Richard and I met a couple years ago, and he said, really, to impact this area, we're going to have to start with the youth. And he does a fabulous job with his group by going out into the schools. He's very visible, and he wants to be active, and he wants to be able to educate our youth. And the youth actually, each one of the 4 middle schools picked a different topic. One did dental hygiene for dogs and passed out toothbrushes they bought from Amazon at the Ag Expo. But that gave those students a way to stand out in front of their other peers, to be able to public speak and work on various skills that are very important to them. And as you can see here, this was our tour that we did. And I'll throw a plug in for Perks Cafe. We always like to take our kids out to eat somewhere really nice beforehand, and then go on a trip. So every time you see these pictures, you know they've been fed well, all right? Here's our curriculums that you can see for 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, and 9th grade. Something that's very important that you see is in 9th grade in that bottom right-hand corner, the Dave Ramsey Foundations in Personal Finance. We spend a lot of time with that in 8th grade and also in 9th grade. They actually go through the whole curriculum. It's the same one that they use at Habitat for Humanity for the recipients of those homes that have to go through that program with Mr. Kidder. We use that same program with our students, except it's a middle school version and a high school version. So it's a really good thing between the difference between needs and wants, but it also talks with them about the importance of college or a secondary experience after high school, whether it be getting a certification at CCC and TI. We're really hooked up as close as we can with Dr. Porch and his faculty for all of our students as well too. Out of the 49 seniors that we have graduating this year from our program, 21 of those students are furthering their education at CCC and TI, either through, you know, a trade or a 2-year degree or finishing up an associate's that they're working on right now. Huge focus right now on real skills. So when we bring our mentors in from the community, we had 76 mentors this year. Once they're able to come into the classroom, we want them doing activities with the kids. Through a TIDES grant, we were very blessed to actually have the person from the Training Wheels Corporation come out and train our staff. That's the professional development that we obtained this year, and then the implementation of those things through our character education as well too. That's aligned to what the school system does and provides. They have a character trait for each month. We recognize the students as well too, in each one of the classroom settings. So we recognize 15 students a month for good character, and we really try to blow that up on social media as well too. And you can see the mentors that are involved in those classrooms there, from high school to your far left, to middle school in the middle and on the right. And then you can see these real skills like being able to communicate, problem solve, talk, work together. One thing you don't see is you don't see a child holding a phone in those pictures. So we're trying to really break down those walls of isolation there and making sure that we're able to kind of interact and give our students activities that we can do with them. And then our most important thing is our mentors. And that was our mentor of the year on the far right. That's Shane Cook. He's an employee at Bernhardt. Bernhardt actually provides us a total of 26 mentors this year. A third of our mentors come from Bernhardt, you know? So we talk about the lack of law enforcement officers, people for EMS. I'll go ahead and put a plug. Next September, August, I'll be hitting y'all up and seeing if I can get some mentors to come from the county into the classroom for 30 minutes to 60 minutes a week, and making those kind of connections. You might end up having some more people applying about 4 or 5 years after that. Bernhardt's getting them. We actually have mentors now that work for Bernhardt that come into the school that were CIS students.
Yep.
Okay? And then you can see some other mentors. They bring their hobbies in. We did a B unit as well too in 6th grade. And that's what I'm talking about. So 30 to 60 minutes a week in 7 of our school locations. If any of y'all know anybody, Mr. Wilkie invited me to his church one time and I spoke, and we got a couple mentors from that. So we're very, very blessed about that. And then last but not least, I'll put a plug in, even though we're sold out right now. So Taste of Caldwell is Friday. Looking forward to that fundraising event. We do one major fundraiser a year. I would tell you to buy your ticket, but we're sold out, guys.
That's a good
Okay, so that's a good thing, isn't it? But that's it for this evening. So I just greatly appreciate the funding that's provided each and every year for our program. And we definitely utilize it from anything. Let's see here. Last week, turned on 2 water taps in Sawmills. Paid for a kid to go to the FBLA thing in Atlanta. Covered rent for one of our students. So we just try to take care of those barriers so that students can focus on academics and not worry about, you know, a bill or anything like that. So we thank you very, very much. And thank you for the opportunity to share. Any questions or anything?
Well, we just know that you guys are making a difference,
We thank
and
you.
we thank you for that.
We really do.
You may want to reach out to Libby Brown, because we do have a reading buddy program that you could probably tap into for
There
your
you go.
mentors.
I'll get her before she retires.
they're
from
already
jail.
doing
She getting ready to retire.
Yeah,
ain't
no,
she?
yeah. But you
But
may
there'll
want
be
to
a new one.
talk to her and Leslie, our librarian, and kind of connect with them, because it's already there. All you got to do is tap into it.
Tap into it. That's all I had to hear.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank y'all so much. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Keep up the great work,
Thank you.
Keith.
Thank you, Keith.
As he's walking away, I know he had a stellar career with the Caldwell County Schools of 30 years, I reckon. Principal at, yeah, there you go. And he
Don't sell him
just-
short.
He didn't have enough, so he went back and took this program up.
I'm loving it, though. It is a good opportunity.
Yes, sir, and we appreciate it.
You know,
Yeah.
you're in this kind of a position, so
Well, we
thank
know
you.
you're making a difference
sir.
in folks' lives, and that's what counts, and we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate my site coordinators, the 2 social workers we get from DSS, they're phenomenal, and we have a very strong team, so thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, our next item is a proclamation of Older Americans Month, and Miss Beverly Rupert's here, going to read that for us, I hope.
We have a
Beverly's not.
substitute tonight.
Got
yeah.
a substitute tonight.
All right, I'm going to throw
It's
this
April.
agenda away. It's got all these names on it of the people that's supposed to be here, and I'm just going to call the item out,
There you
okay?
go.
I'm not calling any more names unless I know you. Sorry.
No, that's completely fine. It's our fault. Beverly is out on medical leave, and so she wasn't able to be with us tonight, but we are going to be her stand-ins, so we hope we can do it justice. So this is April Wiles Williamson, and she is one of our adult services supervisors, and she's going to read the proclamation to us, and we just want to say that, this month is to recognize our older Americans and our older citizens in Caldwell County, and just take a moment to really recognize and appreciate the contributions that they have made to our county and that they continue to make. So she's going to read this proclamation, and then she's going to talk a little bit about our Celebration of Life event that is happening on Friday. So we're very excited about that. So I'll go ahead and let her do that.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Our Older Americans Month 2024 proclamation. Whereas May is the Older Americans Month, a time for us to recognize and to honor Caldwell County's older adults, their immense influence in every facet of American society. And whereas through their wealth of life experience and wisdom, older adults guide our younger generation and carry forward abundant culture and historic knowledge. And whereas older Americans improve our communities through intergenerational relationships, community service, civic engagement, and many other activities. And whereas communities benefit where people of all ages, abilities, background have the opportunity to participate and to live independently. And whereas Caldwell County must ensure that older Americans have the resources and support needed to stay involved in their communities, reflecting our commitment and connectedness. And now, therefore, we, Caldwell County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim 2024 as Older Americans Month. This year's theme, Power by Connection, emphasizes and profound impact the meaningful interactions and social connections and well-being, the health of older adults in our community. We call upon all residents to join us in recognizing the contributions of our older citizens and promoting programs and activities that foster connections, inclusions, and support for our older adults.
All right. Very well read. Thank you.
Thank you.
So having the proclamation read, I'll make a motion that we adopt May of 2024 as Older Americans Month, as has been presented in this proclamation. Any other comment or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. So we thank you for being here, and we do appreciate our older Americans. How old do you have to be an older American?
That's exactly what I was getting ready to ask.
This old.
So,
I just turned 62 this past week. Does that
older,
qualify?
you gotta be
me?
at least older as Mayor Setzer, I think.
Oh, well, ain't nobody older than him.
Every one of y'all's cookies.
Yeah.
Oh, very well.
Great job, April.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank-
If I can say just a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
about Celebration
Yep.
of Life. It is, it's a event that we hold annually. Actually, it's our 51st Celebration of Life event. It is this Friday, May 2024. It starts at 8:30, and that will be informational booths, and then goes to 1 o'clock. It is for 60 and older. So we do invite everyone that is 60 and older to come. There's informational booths, door prizes, entertainment, and lunch. This is a free event. So we would love to have anyone over 60 to come and join us.
And tell them where it's at, while you're on TV.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mountain Grove Church, Baptist
Mountain
Church.
Grove Church,
Yep.
okay.
And I will say, if nobody's ever attended this event, I highly recommend it. It's an absolutely wonderful time. The music's great, the food's good, the camaraderie's great. I mean, it's just a really, really good event. So if you have never been, I highly suggest you go, Mayor Setzer.
Thank you for coming tonight, Mayor.
Thank you for being here, Mayor.
He's usually picking on me. But
And we were able to get it publicized in the paper this past Saturday. So thank you for the people that did the newspaper and our gold sponsors and silver sponsors. We couldn't have done this without them.
yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Great job.
Thank
Great job.
y'all.
Yep.
Okay, I think I know that Jonathan Cook's here tonight is gonna come do the EMS proclamation. And Jeffrey, I saw you making fun of my age back there, and you ain't that daggone far behind me.
Thank y'all for allowing us to be placed on the agenda, and we just want to be able to celebrate our EMS staff next week, honor them for all they do for our community. We also want to thank y'all for all that you do to help us as well. But this is the EMS Week proclamation to designate the week of May 19th through the 25th of 2024 as Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas emergency medical services has grown to fill a gap by providing important out-of-hospital care, including preventive medicine, follow-up care, and access to telemedicine, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and other out-of-hospital medical care providers. And whereas the members of emergency medical service teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating the Emergency Medical Services Week. And now, therefore, the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners, in recognition of the week, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19th through the 25th, 2024 is Emergency Medical Services Week. The 50th anniversary of EMS Week theme for EMS Week is honoring our past and forging our future. The Board of Commissioners encourages the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cook. And all, do I hear a motion that we adopt this proclamation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adopt the proclamation as read.
Any other comment or discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries unanimously. So, thank you for everything you do.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jonathan.
Thanks,
Thank-
Jonathan.
Trevor, you didn't say anything. Did you want to? Okay. I didn't want to slight you. All right, so next we have a presentation of construction contract with Atriax for Cadres Mountain EMS base, Mr. Simon Lucas.
I am as the script, Mr. Chairman. so
Yes, bless you.
I am that person.
And you're actually here.
I am.
And that's good.
Well, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. I am Simon Lucas from Atriax Building Solutions. It's a real pleasure for me to be here this evening to present an update and a reminder of where we are with the design and the construction phase for Cadres Mountain EMS facility. I'm joined this evening by Hal Marvin, our Director of Engineering, and Raymond Burrell, who'll be heading up the construction on site when we get started. I have about 5 or 6 slides for you this evening by way of a reminder and update. Probably take 10 minutes of your time this evening, so please bear with me. As you know, we started this process some 10 months ago with a county manager and his team closely collaborating on a scope and design that would provide a facility fit for purpose now and into the future. And I'm pleased to say that at an architectural level and for mechanical, electrical and plumbing, we're at 100%. On the civil side, we're just finishing up some final discussions with Baton on the water line to the site, and we hope to have that concluded later on this week so that we can move into the final permit process back end of this week. In the background, of course, we've been pulling together the full project costs to include the construction element, which is now complete. And what you may have heard is that through the process, to make sure that we get good value of money for the county, we've had to do some reworking with some of the subcontractors and some clever substitutional work in the actual design. What I am pleased to say, though, is that the functional layout that we first conceived and we've developed with the team has not been jeopardized in any shape or form. So what you'll see this evening is what the final product will look like and represents what the team have asked for from the outset. We've also in the background put together a complete construction schedule, which I'll talk a little more about in a moment or so. And all of our subcontractors and suppliers that we plan to use are now on standby in a holding pattern. We have contracts ready in the office to send out to those people so that they're ready to mobilise. We also have put together a site construction sign, which has been approved by the county and is also being fabricated at this moment in time. And the final, probably the most important part, the actual contract, which is now being pulled together, has been vetted by the county attorney and is now awaiting your signature, subject to ratification this evening. So a lot of work that's been going on in the background. I don't want to dwell too much on this. I'm not sure whether I can blow this up at all, actually. But just as a reminder of what we've designed and what we plan to deliver for the county, the existing facility on Connolly Springs Road, which was the old doctor's practice, which is the right-hand side of the screen there, will be added to with a new metal building, which will have 3 double bays housing 6 emergency vehicles. I'm going to try and lead you around this, starting at the back. We've added to the existing facility 4 bedrooms, which will accommodate 8 beds at any one time. In front of that, in the purple, are 2 ADA bathrooms. Next to that will be a day room or living quarters, together with a fully fitted kitchen. Further up that corridor to the right, there'll be the mechanical room, and in the green, 2 staff offices. And in the far back right-hand corner, you'll see a discrete sheriff's office with its own separate entry. Moving forwards to the front right of the screen, in the big yellow block there, we plan to put in there an EMS training bay, which will house the shell of an ambulance with a classroom behind it, so that members of staff can actually replicate an ambulance facility and then use the back part as a training backup. This will be adjacent to, just further to the left there, an EMS room, so that the staff will be able to replicate taking a stretcher or something out of the back of the ambulance bay and into the EMS room, so there'll be a real-life experience for them. Next to those additional training rooms, and then some storage in the far left-hand corner. Moving forwards towards the bay there, you see an area which is a work area for the staff, for administration to do their reports, etc., and for communications. And then one of the things that we found on many of the site visits was the lack of available space for the crews, and to have that co-located with where it's needed in the EMS bay. So there's plenty of storage in that pink box next to the large metal building. What I'd like to do now, it's a bit dry on a piece of paper, is I'd like to take you on a virtual tour of how the facility will look. There's only one disclaimer here, that the grading that you'll see around the building is the only part which is not true to case, etc. There are some challenges with that site which we'll work on, but the outside of the building and the interior tour that you're about to see is a true replication of what we will deliver for you. So I'm hoping this will actually work. So this was put together by our architectural team in software called Twin Motion. And as you can see, as we go around the site, roll-up doors to the front and to the rear, metal building and brickwork to face the building. Around the rear again, 3 more roll-up doors. And then you can see the extended roof line there, which will house the sleeping quarters with the 4 windows there. Then we move across behind the facility with the day room there and the kitchen and the sheriff's office in this far right-hand corner with the sheriff's entrance here on the side of the building. The next phase is this ambulance training bay, also with its own roll-up door where the ambulance body will be housed, etc. And then we're adding new windows to the front as well to bring some light into the training rooms. We then take you inside through a secure reception area. So reception on the left as we move in there, and you can see the admin room on the left-hand side of that. And then into the fully fitted kitchen, and these colours have been designed in as part of the colour scheme to represent the county seal. So you'll see this replicated throughout the whole building. We come down the corridor now and we go across to where the EMS room will be, which is adjacent to the EMS training bay where the ambulance body will be. And you can see the classroom at the rear part with lockers and work units there. So as we exit the classroom here, we go up the front corridor with more training rooms to the left and staff bathrooms on the right-hand side here up into the administrative area. Back in through the living quarters and the day room and the kitchen here, and you'll see a shot of the administration area and the work area for the teams here. Past the reception on the left-hand side, and then we're going to take you out into the actual EMS bay. So the storage room to the left, actually we're going to go into the bathrooms first actually to give you a look and feel of how it's going to look when it's completed. Both of these bathrooms are ADA accessible. And then through into the EMS bay. And again, the colours reflect the county seal colours, etc. As I said, 3 double bays here, roll-up doors front and back, so that the vehicles can be parked back to back in the facility. And you'll see the decon room in the far right-hand corner there with an ice maker and an eye wash station, and then a full mezzanine floor that runs virtually from front to back, which can be used for storage and also for training purposes, and lockers and a workbench on the right-hand side. So that's a really good look and feel of what we plan to deliver for you. Onto some important facts here. I said that we pulled together the construction cost. The project cost in total, that's including design, construction phase services, all of the soft costs, which include things like bonding, insurance, etc., runs at $4.58 million. What does that work out, cost per square foot? Fully loaded, again, incorporating all of those soft costs, is $463 a square foot. But when you take those out, we're looking at approximately $360 per square foot for just for the construction. Throughout this process, obviously, we tried to benchmark against comparable facilities in and around the area, etc. And there's nothing quite like this unique opportunity that we have, but the range that we found on similar facilities is between $350 a square foot and up to and beyond actually $500 a square foot. So we feel confident that we're in the right area for this. I mentioned earlier that we've put together a construction schedule for the work. From day one, we anticipate taking 311 days to complete the work, which equates to 62 working weeks. That's Monday through Friday, with an estimated completion of July next year. So the next steps for us, obviously this evening, I'm grateful for your time to revisit this opportunity. We're looking for your approval. We'll then move forward to sign the contract, and once that is done, a formal notice to proceed. Immediately following that, we'll notify the subcontractors and have them sign their contracts. We will finalise and obtain the permits required. In the background, we will install the construction sign, and there is a penciled-in groundbreaking ceremony for Friday, the 31st of May. And then the important thing, we actually get to start work. I just want to leave you with this. This is the construction sign. It's a 4x8 sign which will go on the roadside, two-sided sign. And what we've tried to do here is adopt images of how the facility will look and also incorporate the seal of Cajun Mountain, the county seal, obviously emergency services, and the Atriax group. And that will be proudly presented on the roadside for all and sundry to see as they drive by each day. That concludes my brief presentation. I'll now open the floor to any questions you have for my colleagues and myself.
I got a couple of questions. I know a couple of months ago when we looked at the first round of the presentation you made, we talked about widening the hallway as you're coming out of that training room with the stretcher. Was that done?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes.
The other note I made was when I just saw this presentation, that training door's opening in front of the other training room. So you're going to have to come in, shut the door, and then go in the room. We had talked about either reversing that door or
Oh, okay, yes.
putting a slider there.
I understand.
Because you won't be able to get the stretcher in the room.
Right, yeah, the representation on the virtual walk around may not be totally accurate, but I'll certainly check into that
Okay.
for you to make sure we adopt that, yes.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
I'd like to know why we got bedrooms in this thing. Who put bedrooms in this place? Why would we put bedrooms in it when we're running 12-hour shifts? And even the people that I've talked to at EMS said they don't need bedrooms. You got a recliner to sleep in. Why are you back there in the back? I mean, I don't know. It looks like wasted space and extra money to me. I mean, if you're paying somebody for 24 hours a day, I mean, I sleep in a recliner just as good. I mean, are you gonna go back there and get in bed, and then when the call comes in, are you gonna have to get up, get your stuff, go on, take off? I mean, it looks like it'd be a lot less cost to me without 4 bedrooms in the very back of the building.
Anybody want to answer that for me?
We're running 12-hour shifts now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
why,
think-
they ain't no, I mean.
I
we ain't
mean, I'll
running
take
for
a
it.
stab at it, but I know that we're trying to build it for the possibility of not being on a 12-hour shift there. As I understand it, we're looking at some hybrid shifts and potentially having some folks working a 24-hour shift, and just out of the accommodation of that would be allowing a bedroom, I guess, for a place, a rest period or a place to be able to go. And
So
then
when
too,
you're on a 24-hour shift, you get so many hours off during that shift to sleep, or how does that work?
no, but typically everybody that builds a building, fire stations and all, will have a bed that somebody can go lay down in.
And how many square feet was in these bedrooms back there? That was quite a few square foot at $400 or $500 a square foot back there.
In total.
152 per bedroom with 2 beds in each.
150 to 200 per bedroom.
So
800 square feet.
times $500, you know, I mean, that's a lot of money for something I don't know that we need in a EMS base. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, I don't understand it. We just built 2 new EMS bases with no bedrooms in them. Why do we need to start building bedrooms again?
Also, you plan for extreme weather events when employees can't get home and they have to work over shifts, so they may actually be off shift and need to stay there so they can work the next shift.
Well, you sleep in a recliner. I sleep in a recliner all the time. I mean, I don't understand putting bedrooms in this thing. I think it's just a waste of money for us. And I mean, I'm all for the base. I want to build a base, but I want to save the taxpayers all the money that I can save them on the same thing that we need without bedrooms in it. I just don't understand it.
And you guys at EMS want to chime in?
since I was here with the project from the start to the finish, one of the reasons that we designed that is because we do have the desire to possibly go back to 24. Also, we wanted to build a building that wasn't going to be something that was going to meet the immediate need. Now, we have 2 new EMS buildings, one at Lower Creek, one at Valmead. We were looking to build a building that was going to last this county for 50 years, give or take. I feel pretty confident that with building a building without the living quarters is probably not going to meet our need. Any fire station in America, and now I know we're talking fire versus EMS. Lenore Fire, both stations, 3 stations now, Gamble Fire, Grace Chapel Fire, all of those have current living quarters that has been in them since existence. The Lenore Fire building down the street, myself, Randy, and also Robbie started there, and they were bedrooms in that since 1969 when that building did open. Our main goal, guys, was to build this building so that it would last this county for 50 years. Everybody that was a part of this will more than likely be dead and gone before that building right there is obsolete. And that was our main goal for doing this. There's no doubt that the call volume certainly meets it over here in this end of the county with the partnership that Cagers Mountain has provided. It's just been astronomical. By building this building and providing that, if we do in the future have to add additional EMS crews, which that is going to happen eventually, and we're not, probably not in a reasonable amount of time, but that is where the county's growing. If you go down towards Colony Springs Road, they got the big development that's going in, and we feel like our call volume's only just going to go higher and higher and higher, and that was the reason that we put that in there. Because unfortunately, and just a couple more points, those the 2 new EMS bases that we have, if we do go 24 hours, and by code, we can't allow people to sleep there, or we can't allow people to be there. That is also a major issue, Jeff, is the coding issue. And then also, too.
So you're telling me that you can't go 24 hours a day without having sleeping quarters for people to be in when you're paying them to be at work, but you're paying them to have a bed to sleep in? Is that what you're saying?
I've been in the fire service, emergency services for 44 years.
Is that a state, is that a state mandate, or is that just?
I'm not
something
sure if
we've
it's a
made up?
mandate. I don't want to get into the code part, but I've been in emergency services for 44 years. I've worked at 3 different paid departments. Everyone from Lenore Fire, Hickory Fire to Charlotte Fire. Every one of them currently right now has living quarters in their fire stations. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to use it as a recruiting tool. I want to build good bases. I want to build something that not only y'all can be proud of, that Cagers Mountain can be proud of. Those folks that live out there in that community can be proud of. And for building a basis that provides this, it's going to provide us a recruiting tool, because goodness knows we have a hard time recruiting and maintaining and retaining personnel. We do in all aspects of emergency services, regardless of the size of it. For instance, and I'm going to use an example, largest fire department between Miami-Dade and Philadelphia, Charlotte Fire Department. In 2000, 3,000 people took the interest for them. And this past year, 700 took it. So we're trying our best to build something that's going to be retention, going to be recruiting, it's going to be a building that y'all are proud of, going to be a building that town's proud of, and going to be a building that community's proud of. And if we're going to run 24 hours to maintain that, I do think we do need living quarters. And that's why that our team, through a lot of guidance from the county manager and others, we decided that we probably need living quarters in there. Now, when the design team for Matrix come in and we presented it in the room, that was one of the things that we've talked about from the get-go. Now, one of the ways we did save money was because that was an add-on, and we was only able to provide the residential sprinklers. Unfortunately, the whole building will not be sprinkled. I'll entertain any more questions.
I don't understand why we need bedrooms in a place when you're paying people for 24 hours a day when they can sleep in a recliner just as good as don't understand why somebody's gonna be in bed and then have to get up and then run to take care of somebody myself.
Well,
And I'm just trying to look out for the taxpayer.
And I understand,
this
we are-
is 800 square foot at $500 a square foot extra on the back of the, I mean, turn it into some kind of training rooms or some other things, but.
Well, now, that's
so
something we're
that's
very
gonna
proud
be- I'm
of.
proud of the building, and I want the building just more, as much or more than anybody, and I appreciate the whole building, but I just don't think we need sleeping quarters
Well,
for somebody that's working.
and I'll just add to the tradition of emergency services.
Well, tradition can be changed.
I understand, but in emergency services, for people that work 24 hours, they do have living quarters, and that's pretty much from all over the country, and that's pretty much all over the world as far as that goes. So that was our goal. Yes, sir,
I'm
Mr.
gonna
Chairman.
highlight too, there is probably an OSHA standard that says something about it and a rest period or a downtime.
Yes, sir.
Cause you can't limit somebody to, what they can do, and how they obtain that rest. So, and I get your point
Well, we
about
probably shouldn't be
reclining.
working 24 hours a day if we have to give people, I mean, are they gonna be resting when we need them to come to save my life?
No, they're gonna get up and come, Jeff. That's what they do.
Well,
I've done
and
it
in
for years.
some ways though, Jeff, it's no different than the way that probably 90% of the fire service works here in Caldwell County, because almost every department has combination and paid, but then also us that still volunteers, we do have to get up and respond to your office, your business, your home. And I'll assure you, it'll actually be quicker from leaving that station, or if you go down at Lenore Fire tonight at, say, 3 o'clock in the morning, you see how quick they get out the door. That's my take on it.
I just, like I say, I just think it's a lot of extra money for taxpayers to be putting a building. I mean, I like the building, I like everything else, but I just, I'd rather see training facilities, something else other than bedrooms and thing.
Understand, sir. Respect it. Gentlemen, anything additional?
I'll just put on the recruitment and retention, that we're trying to put with the hybrid schedule. Jeff hit the nail on the head when he talked about 20 years ago, we had applicants, a lot of applicants that we could selectively put. This county's not had a paramedic application since January. I'll put that out there. Surrounding counties are going back to 24-hour shifts and has stolen probably about 10 or 12 of our employees in the last 6 months, just based on that. So we have certain metrics that we've got to uphold. Shoot times is one of them. We have to be out of the door in 90 seconds. With that, it is a bedroom, and it's more of a place for someone to rest and have downtime. We see a lot of things in emergency services that sometimes you just need time to get away from others. And while the bedrooms are for our employees, if we call in additional emergency responders from outside, this is another place for rest. And say if we have a swift water rescue, hurricane, whatever be the case, and we're bringing in multiple agencies. We just brought in over 20 agencies for a search a couple weeks ago. If we were doing 24-hour operations, we'd have downtime for these people too. And currently, we would have to pay to pretty much lodge these people or provide them some type of lodging when they come to help us. So it's not only for us, it will help us, obviously. We're using it as a recruitment tool, but it's also for these large emergencies. So it'll do for several things, for sure.
It makes me feel like an idiot that we didn't put bedrooms in all the other ones in if we was
Well,
gonna do this in. Why now?
should
Why
have.
now? Why that?
Yeah, I think-
why-
Looking back,
yeah.
probably should, because it's a recruitment tool. Our employees have been polled. There's probably 85 to 90% that's what they want. We've tried to hold back on some of them leaving. Honestly, we could have probably had another 3 or 4 in the last month that left and went to surrounding county for 24-hour shifts.
Two in the last month that
So it's just it's largely a recruiting tool, just so we can retain our employees that's been here. Some of these employees have been here 10, 15 years, and it's
Well, I'm not against 24
understand.
hour shifts. I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I don't think we need people sleeping
Yeah.
in bedrooms in the very back of the building while they should be on call. I mean,
I'll add one thing. Wilkes County completed one last year, about a $10.5 million facility, just slightly bigger than this one, and they did not put sleeping quarters in it. And so now they're bringing out cots and having to sleep in offices. They're not beds, and so it's created issues there. They wish they had put bedrooms in there. The emergency services is changing fast because we have a higher need because our population is aging across this country, as y'all well know. And there's gonna be more and more demand. And so we have to adapt.
It's my understanding that in the previous years, they don't actually bed down and make the bed up and get up under the covers and snuggle up and go to sleep. It's the way
That's correct.
yeah.
Yeah, because like I said, it'd take a little bit more than 90 seconds for
Yeah.
our metrics to obviously put everything back on,
Yeah.
get out there. We're not going to sleep. It's a place to get away, to rest, so you're not up and around all the time in a recliner or such.
If the call volume stays as it most of the time is, from about 7 till about 1 a.m., they're not gonna be anywhere near the bed. And then from about 1 till about 4:30 to 5 o'clock, and that's when the rest period could possibly, and that will depend totally on the night, and the weekends will be more.
Please step up to the microphone.
The wizard has spoken.
As I indicated, that our call volume is high from about 7 to midnight. Then it'll slow down till about 4:30 in the morning. And then from 4:30 to 7 o'clock, when people starts getting up, feels bad, slip, fall, trip, the whole 9 yards, that's when we start running again. And most of the time now, where it's a Lenore fire or any other fire, you get a department or any other EMS base that runs 24. And an example I'll use is our county to the west, and that would be Burke. That a lot of people bring a sleeping bag and they just lay it on top of the bed, and then they're yee-haw up and go. That's traditional across the state of North Carolina.
All right. Anything else?
Nah, still think it's a lot of wasted extra, 800 square foot back there, and money wasted to me.
I guess if it warrants it someday, and we always stick with 12-hour shifts there, that could be utilized as additional office space, is kind of what I'm thinking too. And we don't have a lot of storage in this building, I don't
There's not,
think.
little to no storage in it.
So it could be an opportunity for that if you needed it someday.
I guess we could sell that land behind it and make up for these extra
Oh, yeah, we're gonna
bedrooms.
sell that. Yep. So, any other questions
Thank
or
you, guys.
comments?
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a lot of money and a lot of effort to go into building these bases, and the mayor of Cagers Mountain's here tonight. We've been picking on him a little bit, but he's very happy and supportive of having this facility there. As a matter of fact, my phone's quit ringing so much, he don't check on me so much now that he knows it's coming.
Yeah, he used to check on us pretty frequently,
Yeah,
didn't
pretty
he?
often I'd get a call from
Yeah.
Mayor Setzer,
Yeah.
check on me and see how I was doing and when we're gonna build an EMS base in Cagers Mountain.
I will say that this project would not have been possible without Mayor Setzer and his efforts to make this happen, along with his fellow council members there in Cagers Mountain. Not gonna say it would have never happened, but it wouldn't have happened now. And my appreciation goes out to you for leading the charge on this and making this happen, along with the support from your council, sir.
All right, so does that take us to our next item, I guess, which would be a decision to award the contract to Atriax?
Yes, sir, you'd be approving execution of the contract by myself and the staff, and then next is budget revision.
All right. Just a couple questions from point of preference, I guess, but will we get a list of your subcontractors? Who's actually gonna be doing subcontract work on the property?
Yes, sir.
And I hope that you try to get subcontractors from Caldwell County. I know you're from Catawba. But we know we got a lot of folks in Caldwell County that can do that kind of work, and I hope you've reached out to those folks. It sounds like you already made the determination and awarding those contracts, if we award this tonight, who your subs are, so all that's been decided, which is good. Will we get to tour the building any while it's under construction, or will we get thrown out if we show up?
No, we will have strict controls because it's a construction site, so
Yep.
health and safety, but this gentleman here, who's going to run the site, be there from dawn till dusk every day, by arrangement, can give tours during construction. If somebody does show up, providing it's safe, Raymond will do the tour as appropriate, but we're not going to jeopardize any safety while we're actually on site.
Right.
That's first and foremost.
Are any of your subs from here locally?
Yes, the main plumbing contractor, Triplets Plumbing, is based in Lenore, etc. And I think if you recall back to the first presentation that we made, we do actually use a handful of preferred subcontractors on certainly the mechanical and electrical areas because we have an established relationship with those people. They know what quality we expect and vice versa. So some of those larger subcontractors are predetermined, but there are smaller subs from the county that will be used, and you can see that list.
Perfect.
Thank you.
It won't be many. And for point of reference, I got thrown out of your building one time. Yep, over in Hickory. You invited me to
Chairman,
come
yeah.
look at it, and I got escorted out of the building. And
Well,
I ain't got over it yet, I'll just be honest with you. I've called you a few times and never got a return phone call, so I ain't got over that either, so.
Please try again, and I guarantee you won't get thrown out.
No, I don't
Any of
think
you are
that.
always welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I won't be back. It's okay. But that's where I'm at with it. Just wanted to say it. Get it off my chest. All right, so do I hear a motion that we adopt this, contract this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we award the contract to Atrix to build the new EMS base in Cadres Mountain.
After they take the bedroom.
You'll just take the beds out?
Yeah, maybe.
All right, so we have a motion to award the contract to Atriax for the building and construction of the Cadres Mountain EMS base. Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. So, thank you. I guess execute the contract, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, sir.
All right, next was a budget.
Reluctantly.
I'm sorry?
I was gonna ask you about the budget.
That's next.
Yep. So we have to have a budget revision there for the capital project and ordinance for this Cadres Mountain EMS base. So Mr. Duncan's going to explain that to us.
Yes, sir. You have funds and proceeds from multiple sources, including fund balance that we have left over from the animal care facility. We actually got a grant from the state, so it's 3.2+ million for that. We have sales tax revenues that we've been holding back in order for a project like this. And then, of course, our municipal partner with Cadres Mountain EMS base, or Cadres Mountain, Town of Cadres Mountain. And then we have a little bit of extra funding in there from North Carolina NCDOT. They have a driveway program for EMS and fire, and so we could be subject for $25,000 each of those to go apply toward the construction. And for a total project of everything, purchasing the land and all, is $5.2 million, but the construction cost that you'll be approving is $4.588.
All right.
And none of this is borrowed money, correct?
Well, you still have the debt
Oh,
service.
the debt from the, yeah,
from the
EMS base.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, the animal
just by
shelter.
not reissuing that debt, you would save approximately $400,000 to $500,000 in interest payments. So, good savings there. And then was able to purchase the building and the land probably 2/3 below market. So,
Yeah.
thanks to UNC Blue Ridge for that.
And we'll get a little income when we sell that land back.
Correct.
Now, we still ain't gonna do that private partnership, or we're gonna try to control who moves into that, are we? And we're gonna sell that, 'cause, I mean, what happens if we sell that and say, Oh, we got an EMS guy to a policeman or a EMS?
That would all be
or-
part of the development agreement and part of the zoning that we would work out with the municipality. That's to be determined, all of those features.
Yeah.
I don't think that cake's baked yet. That's what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I ain't been on trying to tell people who can build what or how, and us decide.
All right, so, we've got a presentation to make in the, budget ordinance, for this capital project. So do I hear a motion that we adopt the recommendation in the budget ordinance for the Caters Mountain EMS base?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the EMS-based budget revision and project ordinance.
All right, any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. All right, next we have a resolution honoring Sherry Griffin. I think that's from Western Piedmont Council of Governments, but you're gonna do that, Mr. Duncan?
Yeah, I would ask that we not spoil the surprise. They're going to be honoring her, but I'd be happy to read it. But I'd like to say something a little more than that. Sherry has done just an amazing job. For those of you that know her, her years of service to this region has just been impeccable. The millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars in grants that she has brought to our community would not have been possible without her help. She has led a fantastic grants community, and some of the bigger projects that you can name in our region, like Target, like Google, Microsoft, she's been involved with. And she has brought infrastructure money down to even small grants, such as rehabbing somebody's home. You know, someone that couldn't afford it, someone that's indigent. Her skills in economic development and grant writing are just phenomenal. I've worked with her on dozens of projects, and it's sad that she's going to be retiring, but her years of service have been marked by an impeccable amount of money that has been brought to this community that otherwise I don't think would have been available. And she's done such a good job that granting agencies will call her and her team and say, we've got a little money left over, do you have a project? And she's always coaching the communities, the cities and counties to have something ready, be there. And there's a lot of people in this region would not have clean water to drink. They would not have sewer to their home. Sewer lines would not have gotten repaired that were built 100 years ago without Sherry's assistance, and she's to be commended. And I hope y'all are able to join us on the 23rd at 4 o'clock at the COG offices. They're going to honor her there, and we'd like to present this resolution to her. And of course, I've known her. She's went through 2 husbands. I just don't think they could survive her, I guess. But she is one of the hardest working people I know, really is, and fantastic lady. And if you've never had the chance to meet her, you should. She is absolutely a gem in this community.
All right, so do I hear a motion that we adopt this resolution to be presented at that ceremony?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the resolution.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Next is a resolution opposing the City of Charlotte Innovation Transfer Request, and this is pretty important too, with the water. A lot of folks don't know what's going on there, so I'm gonna throw that to our county manager, give just a little bit of explanation why we're adopting this evening.
Yes, I'll do a quick background. City of Charlotte requested a interbasin transfer, I want to say, in 2002. And then Concord Kannapolis came back and wanted to buy water from the city of Charlotte out of that IBT. And this region was successful in litigation, both against Concord Kannapolis and the city of Charlotte, and believe it or not, Duke Energy filed an amicus brief with us at the U.S. Supreme Court. And we were able to get the second IBT reduced basically half and half. Half had to come out of the Yadkin Basin before any could come out of the Catawba. Now, for this third interbasin transfer, the city of Charlotte's back for an additional 33 million gallons of water. So if you add all that up, you're talking about, you know, in excess of 73 million gallons of water coming out of the basin that will never be returned. And the total, that total amount is everyone south of Charlotte and everyone north of Charlotte isn't using that much water combined. That's a big deal. This was a 3-year battle the last time that we did it. We significantly changed state law in order to make the process more public. For those of you that were here in the second one, there were no hearings or opportunities even held in our basin until we sued and forced some meetings to be held. We had our first meeting in Hickory last week. It was standing room only, max crowd. They were having to turn people away. The city manager of Hickory had offered them a larger facility. They turned it down, and so when we get into the room, the first thing we hear is that we need to apologize to you all for not booking a better room. And then they subsequently said, we didn't think we would have this many people concerned about it. I will tell you now, and I do not want to use hyperbole, but these are the facts. You will never get patted on the back for fighting this IBT. You will never live to see it be used, but your grandchildren will. And your grandchildren will wonder why you didn't fight. That's the long and short of it. It doesn't affect us today. If it rains, it's not a problem. If we have a normal year, there's not an issue. But when you go into years of drought like we did in the early 2000s, where we basically had one drought after another from 2002 to 2009. It's when it hurts is sewer, and that is the bottom line. So if you want economic development, if you want to be able to build more housing, you're going to have sewer. You will not be able to expand your sewer treatment plants because it's all based when the river is at its smallest amount of flow, which is when the highest concentration of pollutants will enter the river. So we will have a very difficult time in economic development, not in this generation, but in the next. And it is a fight that you will need to do. It will take years. It may end up in the U.S. Supreme Court, and it will take a lot of money. But if you stick together as a team with everyone in this region from McDowell all the way to York County, then I think you have a very good chance of reducing this amount or maybe even changing substantially how City of Charlotte does business. And I can talk about this all day. I have an office of paperwork where I did this in Conover, and I think I made 34 trips to D.C. during that 3 years to fight this. The biggest concern I have is that our delegation in D.C. will be weakening because we'll have new people. We will not have the senior leadership like we had with McHenry and Mr. Howard Coble when he was there, and that's a concern that I have. We will have better representation at the state level where this decision will ultimately be made initially before we have to partner with the state of South Carolina and potentially sue. At some point in the near future, you'll be asked to contribute funding from this county along with its municipalities and about 9 other cities, counties, and local governments. Maybe all 28 in the region will apply, and we hope that there'll be others. At the meeting the other night, there were people from South Carolina, there were people all the way from Old Fort and McDowell County already. There's enough of us around that remember this fight and what it took. And this is the first salvo in a very, very long war.
All right. So hearing that, I'm not going to read this resolution other than just down to the last lines of it, was now therefore be it resolved that the Caldwell County Board of Commissioners request that the State of North Carolina Environmental Management Commission deny the City of Charlotte Interbasin transfer request to modify their certificate to transfer 63 million gallons of water per day from the Catawba River Basin to the Rocky River Basin. In other words, we're against that. So I'll make that a motion that we approve this resolution. And does anybody else have any comment or discussion about it? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. Now that brings us to our water purchase agreement with the City of Lenoir. Kind of unique. We're talking about water a lot tonight. So we purchase our water from the City of Lenoir, and we've got a new agreement with them. And Mr. Manager, you want to explain anything there?
Yes, sir. The City of Lenoir has approved this agreement at their last meeting, and it is a same term sheet as you've seen before. Instead of it being a 5-year renewal, it is a 10-year renewal, so it extends it out to June of 2034. The only thing that changes is that if we exceed our daily average flow that we've bought, then we pay a little bit of a premium, and that's went up slightly by about 15%. Other than that, you have the same agreement as you had before.
All All right, so hearing that recommendation, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting this contract this evening with the city of Lenore?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt the water purchase agreement with the city of Lenore.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that carries as well. Next is a memorandum of understanding, or MOA, with the city of Lenore for our joint communications center that we've been talking for a good little bit about. And again, our county manager, Mr. Donald Duncan.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, as you know, the state has blessed us with quite a bit of funding to build a new facility that would be a joint operations and dispatching facility, not only for us, but would also combine the PSAP with the city of Lenore, as well as provide service for North Carolina Department of Insurance, North Carolina Office of State Fire Marshal, North Carolina Emergency Management, the North Carolina National Guard Cybersecurity Team, and others, as well as North Carolina Viper. So we would be the center of emergency management from basically Statesville going west all the way to Tennessee and Georgia lines. As part of this, we'll be combining the PSAPs with the other communities. And I think one of the great things here is that the E911 funding is dropping for the city of Lenore and will eventually go away. And so it could be diverted to us if we combine these PSAPs. In the first year, once we start operations in the new building, this will be a reverse grant from the city of Lenore where they pay us $771,000. The second year, $620,000. The third year, $465,000. The fourth year, $310,000, and $155,000 on the fifth year. So it's a step-down reverse grant program to us to allow us to absorb those extra costs. Honestly, in the previous arrangements, you've absorbed Granite Falls, you've absorbed the town of Hudson and Lenore Fire, and there was no compensation. The county just did it out of the goodness of their hearts. So in this case, you will have this opportunity to slowly ramp up over time. And then this is part of a key process to get the next round of grant funding from E911 that would pay for all of the expensive custom-made switches and servers that run this very complicated 911 dispatching system that otherwise we would have to write a check for out of our coffers. And this way, when you're paying your cell phone bill and your telephone bill, there is a 911 fund on there. This is a way to get your tax dollars back to your community.
Very well. So here in the description, what do I hear? Do I hear a motion on adopting this MOA with the city of Lenore for a joint communication center this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we adopt this MOA with the city of Lenore Joint Communication Center.
All right. Any other discussion or comment?
I think we've been having some trouble with our communication center recently because of IT issues, because of some of the stuff being older and stuff. And so it's very important to have this newer communication center to be able to deal with that. You're gonna have to upgrade the equipment anyway, and I know a lot of funding is coming from the state and E911 money to help support this, and maybe even some other funding that we're looking at getting
Yes, sir.
for it.
All right. I'll call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Next is Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program Grant Application. Mr. Duncan.
Yes, sir. This is a new grant program that the Western Piedmont Council of Governments has brought to us as a planning grant to try to work with Road Hiss, Hickory, Granite Falls, Sawmills, Hudson, Lenore, and the county to interconnect our pedestrian pathways that are either built or going to be built in the near future, and have a master planning grant that would basically tie everybody together and make sure we're doing something with a plan rather than just kind of willy-nilly. All of the other communities have passed resolutions and approved this funding. Our local match will be $3,575 for a total of $100,000 grant funds, when the local part is $25,000 split 3 ways. All of the other communities have already passed this.
All right. So hearing that recommendation, what's the pleasure of the board in adopting the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program Grant Application?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program Grant Application.
There will be a test to say that later.
ATIIP.
Yes. All right. Any other comment or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. And then finally, on our agenda for decisions tonight, an adoption of our ordinance revisions. I think we read these at our last meeting as well and have entertained them. So remind us of this process, Mr. Manager. We gotta have it again tonight, and then what else do we have?
Yes, sir. It's required that you do read these into the record twice, and you'll be approving updates to the alcoholic beverage ordinances, begging and soliciting, minimum housing code, state of emergency ordinance, animal care, building code and inspections ordinance, concealed weapons on county property, emergency management ordinance, emergency medical services ordinance, fire and life safety ordinance, noise regulations, racetracks and drag strips, public water system, septic collection, transportation, and disposal. This is the first round of many other ordinances that we'll be doing. Your ordinance books were not codified after 2014, so this is getting us caught up with new case law, both federal and state, as well as new law that was established by the North Carolina General Assembly. And we have to update these every year, and so you've had a decade without them being properly updated. And as a reminder, just as Congress passes a law and they send it over to the president to sign, or your North Carolina General Assembly passes a law and signs it over to the governor's office to sign, those signatures don't mean it is law. Not until it is codified in the record is it actually the law of the land. And sometimes that takes a long time, and so they'll say the effective date such as such, maybe the law was passed in August, but the effective date is January. That's a chance to get all that codified. And so you'll be doing this every year, but this is one large group that we're going to do at one time. And then we'll start the next round probably next month or the following month as well. And that'll be a 2-month process as well. But I want to thank every department. Everyone has worked on these. I want to thank our county clerk. This has been a huge undertaking that she has done, and to keep all this organized. And I also really want to say a big thank you for everyone. We've probably cut half of the pages down out of these that were superfluous, that were just completely unnecessary rules that would quote laws that were no longer even on the books. So there's a lot of cleanup. And then probably the next big thing is having a common set of definitions. Whereas laws were adopted, ordinances were adopted over time. You have to think about some of these go back 100 years. And the language we used then is not the language we use today. So having that updated will be a huge matter, and very happy that this has happened. So you'll all get brand-new shiny code books at the end of this, and that will be the new ordinances for the county.
All right. So hearing that recommendation, I think we have a motion.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the chapters: alcohol beverage on county property, begging and solicitation prohibited, minimum housing and non-residential buildings, state of emergency, animal care and enforcement, building code inspections, concealed weapons on county property, emergency management, emergency medical services, fire and life safety, noise regulations, racetracks and drag strips, public water system, and septic collection, transportation, and disposal, and that we repeal any other ordinances under alcohol beverages on county property, begging and solicitation prohibited, minimum housing and non-residential buildings, state of emergency, animal care and enforcement, building code inspections, concealed weapons on county property, emergency management, emergency medical services, fire and life safety, noise regulations, racetracks and drag strips, public water systems and septic collection, transportation and disposal, and that the county manager has the authority to make any typographical error changes and non-substantial corrections and any other numbering, renumbering, or formatting as a result of codification.
All right, thank you, Commissioner LaBrose. So hearing the motion, any other comment or discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries as well. That brings us to our consent agenda this evening, and again, our county manager, Mr. Donald Duncan.
Thanks, sir. First of all, we have purchase of building inspection software for the building inspections department. We're in the middle of rolling out a new software system, but we also have a legacy system that has to be maintained. That company no longer will allow it to be a desktop system. It must go to the cloud. And so in order to protect that legacy data, so if you want us to pull up a permit that you pulled last year or year before and you want to see it, all that data would go away without doing this. So this would be moving that over to the cloud so we can keep that legacy information. Next one would be reappointment of Mr. Jerry Church, the recently retired town manager for the town of Granite Falls, back to the Caldwell Community College and Technical Institute Board of Trustees. And he hopes to do this because he's supposed to go to Raleigh tomorrow to fight for more money for the community college. So if y'all don't reappoint him, I guess he gets to stay at home. And then another grant from Lieutenant DePail for the NRA to try to improve our firing range with some paving. We have paving costs there to try to build a better parking lot and the road in, and those quotes came back at about $40,000, and this would be a grant of up to $25,000. And in the minutes from April 9th.
All right. Do I hear a motion that we adopt these items as has been presented?
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept this evening's consent agenda as the county manager has presented.
Any other discussion or comment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. And we're going to enter into a closed session this evening on a personnel matter, so we don't have any other business before the board, and we appreciate everyone being here and your attendance here this evening. And with that, I'll make a motion that we enter into a closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A6 to discuss a personnel matter with our county attorney, county manager, deputy county manager, county clerk, chief financial officer, human resources director, and any other personnel that may need to attend. I do hear a motion that we enter into this closed session.
So moved.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you, and thank you everyone for being here this evening.